Hey guys, welcome to this week's Catechesis. So, as I'm sure that many of you know, I'm pretty nerdy. Like, I'm a big nerd. Um, like, I grew up collecting trading cards. I grew up playing video games, collecting comic books. Um, Basically, anything and everything that you would associate with being a nerd, I am. Granted, some people would say that I'm a dork, and then people like my wife are nerds who are really, really in love with studying science. My wife used to be able to go off on a huge tangent about helium that would just go way over my head. Uh, but being a nerd and going to a very Catholic university like Franciscan University, uh, there was always that question in my head of how does this relate to my faith? I'd sit down with my friends um, for a Disney night, and we play Disney board games followed by a Disney movie, and the question would be there: how does this relate to our faith? Or whenever I would sit down to play Magic the Gathering, the trading card game, um, and one of my friends would say, "Okay, like I love the fact that we do this every day slash every other day, but how does this relate to our faith?" And I've found that over the years, it doesn't matter what part of my nerddoms, that's what I call them is nerddoms, um, what nerddom I'm partaking in. It doesn't matter what activity that I'm engaged in, but in each single one of them, I'm able to find Christ. Not just in the um, trying to weave my way deep into the intricacies of it, but just simply in the broad things about them. For instance, sitting down to play Magic the Gathering with my friends, I find God in the community because God Himself is three in one. God is community. And whenever I sit down and I get to play with my friends, I'm building those relationships. I'm building that community that we have, uh, so that like we get to know each other way better. We get to have fun and engage with each other while getting to know each other and building those relationships. Or as I'm sure so many of you guys know, I love Spider-Man. I'm a huge Spider-Man nerd. Like I find God in Spider-Man because I'm always finding in Spider-Man how prominent the difference between good and evil are. You know, whenever a character makes a good decision, it's encouraged, and whenever they make a bad decision, it's looked down upon. Like it has consequences. You have Spider-Man, who in the end always succeeds, and then you have the villains like Green Goblin, Doctor Octopus, Vulture, who always fail in the end. Heck, you go and you look at even the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and you have um, in every movie, good prevails in the end. The only one where it doesn't is Endgame, and that's because it's a two-parter. At the end of the Infinity Saga, which is the two movies together, Infinity War and Endgame. I was talking about Infinity War earlier, not Endgame. Um, And at the end of the Infinity Saga, which is the two movies put together, we still find that evil fails and good triumphs. In any superhero thing, we always find that good is rewarded and evil is punished. And that's, for me, a constant reminder the good wins. Just like the fact that God has already won victory for us through Jesus Christ on the cross. Like God has already won victory over death and over sin and over all of the hardship and all of the things that we struggle with in our day-to-day lives. God has won because good wins. I'm also a reader. I like, well, I listen to audiobooks. Um, but as you guys can probably tell uh, by the books above me here, um, I also carry some hard copies. Yes, I do have Harry Potter. My wife's a huge Harry Potter fan. Um, but I love, but two of my favorite series are called Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson and Superpowers by Drew Hayes. And whenever I'm sitting there and I'm reading a book, I've read slash listened to hundreds of books. Whenever I'm sitting down and listening to or reading a book, God is constantly reminding me of the creativity that He has. Because every book is so different. Yes, a lot of them may share a lot of the same plot points, but they have very different characters, very different character arcs. Um, and I'm a fantasy reader, so a lot of times very different um, worlds or histories or magic systems. And all of that creativity is amazing. And it's so, so glorious. But it's just a constant reminder to me of God's creativity. God is the ultimate creator. When we walk outside, we see that God created the things that artists paint. God is the ultimate artist. God is the ultimate molder, sculptor, writer. He wrote all of history. He painted the sky and the skyline and the trees that we see. He sculpted us out of mud and dust and breathed life into us. God is the ultimate creator. And so whenever I listen to a book or I see a beautiful sculpture, I see paintings, I can't help but appreciate the beauty that God created that this person is replicating. Even in the case of fantasy authors, God created creativity. God gave them the imagination to create these worlds, these languages, these magic systems. I mean, for me, Brandon Sanderson is like does what Tolkien did, what J.R. Tolkien did with the Lord of the Rings series, where Tolkien went through, he created a language for every race. He created a magic system for the world. He created a beautiful story and a history behind the world. And Brandon Sanderson takes that and does that, and then exemplify and expands it to a universe. Like, what creativity to be able to come up with these things. And what a gift from God to have that type of creativity. And any creativity that we have, be it our own writing, our own drawing, our own painting, sculpting, musical talent, whatever it is, we should be appreciating God's creativity in that. And I'm sure many of you guys know that a part of my nerddom is that I play video games. I play, I love video games, but I'm not the type of gamer who really enjoys playing solo games. Um, I don't really enjoy playing games that are kind of story-based games. I've always been more of a high competitive, fast-paced game. That's the type that I love. Um, I played World of Warcraft for a little bit, but the first game that I really fell in love with was League of Legends. Uh, for those of you that don't know, League of Legends is a five-player versus five-player, basically capture the flag, where you play to see who's better. And in these games, I found a desire to better myself. I found a desire to be the best that I could possibly be at these games. In Fortnite, it's learning how to build and learning how to build quickly, how to edit builds, and how to aim. In League, I'm learning champions and I'm learning mechanics and I'm learning to aim skill shots and predict other people. In these games, I'm always trying to better myself. I'm always trying to be the best that I can possibly be, just like I'm always trying to be the best person that I can be. Just like I'm always trying to better myself as a person. And God is constantly calling us to this. God is constantly calling us to be not only the best person that we can be, but in the things that we love, to take the time to be the best that we can be at those. If you're an artist, being the best musician, being the best youth minister, the best youth minister in quarantine that I can possibly be. God is always calling us to make ourselves better at everything that we do. Now, to clarify, God is not calling us to be the best, because not everybody can be the best at things that they do. But God is calling us to be the best that we can be. God is calling me to be the best Fortnite player that I can possibly be, the best League of Legends player that I can possibly be, the best father that I can possibly be, the best youth minister in quarantine that I can possibly be, the best youth minister in general that I can possibly be. So, guys, everything that we do, God is in every little thing that we do. So, guys, take some time today and really consider that. Consider the things that you love. Consider your schoolwork. Consider your friends. Consider your relationships. Consider the fact that you're a son, a daughter. The fact that you're a student. Maybe you're a nerd like me. Maybe you're an athlete. But remember that God has called us to be the best us that we can possibly be. And the best us that we can possibly be at each one of the things that He's got us involved in, each one of the things that we love to do. So, guys, thanks for joining me this week over here for our catechesis. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. This weekend we were supposed to be doing kind of fun and games, so I wanted to do something that wasn't necessarily some hard catechesis, but some fun, just conversation and thoughts about things that I have in my own life, um, that I'm sure that several of you guys have too. So while this isn't a normal catechesis, I do hope that you guys enjoyed it. Um, so, guys, thanks for joining me over here this week. Have a good one. Peace.